What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and welcome to another episode of the Ask Dr. Nick Show. So just got back from Parker, Vegas. Had a great time there. I was there Wednesday through Saturday, and I feel like I'm just now getting back all the energy that was expended at that one. We had a few of my different projects. My partners were out there for that, so I'm super excited to get that launched. One of the big things that we've got going on is PI Expert Secrets, which if you didn't hear my episode with Dr. 𝐋𝐨𝐴₀ he's my partner in that, or one of my partners in that. And Guy just knows a ton about personal injury and how to grow that side of your practice. So we're going to be launching that course March 1st. So if you're interested in growing the PI side of your practice, be sure to check out piexpertsecrets.com. There's a masterclass on there that you can opt in for. He did, I think, almost 90 minutes of content on that masterclass. It was supposed to be like 30 minutes of content, but he just kind of kept going and going. So it's a really good masterclass. It's going to be an awesome course. We've been laying this out for probably about 6 months now. So be sure to check that out. Check that episode out. The guy, between him and our other partner, they get over 120 cases a month nationwide, and they just really know a ton about PI expert or personal injury side of your practice. So check that out. And so it was an awesome weekend. Got to catch up with a lot of old friends. Got to see people that you never could see. The thing I like about going to those events, if you don't go to a lot of chiropractic conferences, it's just a really great place to reconnect with people. You know, sometimes it gets kind of lonely in practice, and to be able to be around other chiropractors that are trying to grow. There's always new stuff in the expo hall. Just, you know, couldn't recommend going to events more. Weekend, I'm going to be speaking at ChiroFest in September, so be sure to get tickets for that. So anyway, let's hop into the Ask Dr. Nick questions. So one of I kind of came up with a theme for today, and it's basically the benefits and the drawbacks of marketing in big cities versus small towns. So I was talking with a guy earlier today, and he's in a pretty small town in Pennsylvania, and I was just kind of going through, like, you know, what are the good parts, what are the bad parts of being in a small town, but then also what are the good parts, bad parts of being in a big city. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. So the first question is going to be, what are the biggest benefits of marketing in a big city? So I'm downtown Chicago. We've got one client that's, you know, pretty close to here. We've got other clients that are in big metro areas. And the biggest benefits are that there's just kind of like never-ending people. There's, you know, in where his practice is at, that's close by here, there's maybe, you know, 1 million people within, you know, a mile or two of his practice. So it's just a lot of opportunity. It's a lot of, you know, you never really run out of audience when you're trying to show people advertising. You've always got people searching for things, so your blog posts can show up, your Google ads can show up. It's just it's a fertile ground. Lots of people, especially in downtown, lots of people with good jobs, lots of places that you can go to try to get in and speak. And so it's just opportunities that don't really exist in smaller areas. So corporations, you know, you can do different types of targeting that you can't really do in places with smaller populations. So just the size of it is probably, so if you live in a big city, you know, you need to be spending money. You got to keep the radius tight, but you've got to be spending money on, you know, Facebook ads, on Google ads, pushing the content out. The problem with pushing the content out and we'll get into that here. Actually, we'll get into that in a second. So that's really your, you know, there's a lot more opportunity for conversion for bottom of the funnel, just because more people are searching for those solutions. Usually in bigger cities, you know, if you take insurance, you know, people are going to have more insurance through their employer. They're also going to have more disposable income. They're going to probably be a little bit more advanced when it comes to thinking about alternative healthcare. So, and they're usually investing more in their health, and people just seem to be in cities just seem to be a little bit fitter and more concerned about those things. So those are like the biggest benefits. Now, what are the biggest, second question is, what are the biggest drawbacks of marketing in a big city? So the things that I see as the drawbacks, because we're a content marketing agency, because we're always helping offices create more content on social media, the problem is that you are going to, a lot of times it's harder to show the same people a lot of the content. So in in smaller areas, they're going to see the content more regularly, whereas with big cities, they may not. My forehead's looking real shiny right here. Let's see if I can, there we go. A little bit better. All right, it was like glowing off my forehead. So the biggest drawbacks are just that, just like the biggest benefit was there's a lot of people, that can start to be a drawback as well. Also, the competition is going to be a lot stiffer. You're going to pay more if you are doing some kind of pay-per-click, or if you're trying to compete for keywords that maybe aren't as competitive in a smaller area. You're gonna really have to know what you're doing, or be working with a firm that really knows what they're doing to show up when it comes to your SEO or to your blogs. And then if you're doing pay-per-click, it can get real expensive pretty quickly if you don't know what you're doing. When it comes to Google ads, when it comes to YouTube ads, usually because it's so competitive, there's almost always somebody, as a chiropractor in the cities, there's almost always going to be somebody who has multiple locations, and they're going to be able to use the economies of scale. So maybe they have a full-time person who's just doing this type of marketing or that type of marketing or outreach, and so it can become a little bit more competitive. All right, so those are kind of the benefits and drawbacks of in a big city. Third question is, what are the biggest benefits to marketing in a small town? So in a small town, the biggest benefits are that there aren't as many people, and so that's when content really becomes your biggest friend. So whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, speaking in businesses, there aren't going to be as many opportunities. There aren't going to be as many people that are feeling like they need a chiropractor in any particular moment. But your big opportunity is that you're going to be able to reach, let's say you live in a town of 20,000 people, and half of the population is between the ages of 25 and 65. Those 10,000 people you can reach with content. If it's $10, like a content video would be about $10 to $15 per thousand. So let's just use $10 per thousand impressions to make the math easy. So that means if you give Facebook $10, they're going to show it to 1,000 people. If you give Facebook $100, they're going to show it to 10,000 people. Well, if there's only 10,000 adults between the ages of 25 and 65 in your area, for $100, you could pretty much, you might not hit all of them, but you'll hit the vast majority of them, right? And now you have to keep an eye on your frequency, just so that you're not showing the video to the same person, 15 times over and over again. But being sure that you're getting that content out there on a consistent basis, because you just have such an opportunity to really change the way that people think about their healthcare, think about chiropractic, think about natural healthcare. And nobody in these like towns of like 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people, none of these other businesses are really trying that hard. And you're usually not going to be competitive with other chiropractors. A town of 20,000 people might have, at most, 7 to 10 chiropractors. And a lot of those are going to be people that have been there for a long time. So there's usually only like 1 or 2 people that's really trying to do much of anything. And as someone who had an office in a town of 4,500, just the mentality of the business owners that tend to be in smaller areas is, a little bit old school. They're just not willing to try new things as much as they might be in bigger cities, because most of the time they don't need to. Everybody knows they're there. They've been there for 20 years. And so it's, you know, it makes a really great opportunity for somebody who wants to be a little bit more advanced. You know, we were using the same strategies because I had 2 offices. We were using the same strategies in the town of 4,500 as we were in the town of 100,000. And I think it, you know, worked pretty well. So again, you're not going to get as much like that bottom of the funnel type type advertising isn't going to be as effective in a small town just because there aren't as many people, there aren't as many opportunities. So your real opportunity is that top of the funnel awareness where you're starting to brand and also like teach people what they may not know. Like if you're just waiting for somebody to walk in your practice and, you know, ask you all the right questions or hope that one of your practice members will go out and convince your next patient for you, you know, a lot of times you end up sitting around longer than you should. So for, you know, a minimal amount of money, you can get those messages out the way that, whatever it is that you want to convey. So if you're, you know, straight chiropractic, you know, upper cervical, you know, you do all ART, you only see kids, it doesn't matter what it is, you've got to get your message out. And in a small town, you can get it in front of so many people, like such a high percentage of the people that are there that it makes no sense not to do it. All right. 4th question is, what are the biggest drawbacks to marketing in a small town? So the, you know, obviously the biggest drawbacks are that there just aren't as many people and there's not as much usually disposable income so if you do run an ad, let's say you run a, you know, special new patient special, they may come in for that first visit, but maybe they don't have as much disposable income as maybe the people in a bigger city where there's, you know, a lot of, you know, population center, but also like a lot of employment and corporations and, you know, higher salaries. So that's always an issue. The other big thing is that, you know, even though you're the only one that's running advertising in a smaller town, you still have to make sure that it doesn't burn people out. You've got to make sure that the creative gets changed on a pretty regular basis, because it's easy for that to it's easy for the people to kind of get used to seeing the same thing over and over again. So the thing that you can let run for 3 or 4 months in a bigger city, you might only be able to run that for a month before it needs to be switched over. And the other thing is just changing up your offers. You know, in a bigger city, you can run the same offer for, I mean, probably years, just because people don't see it as much, like each individual person doesn't see it as much in their feed. With a smaller town, the same people are going to see the same offer over and over and over again. So you got to make sure that you're changing things up and you're trying to keep it fresh. So that's the biggest drawback. All right. Last question. What was your favorite part of Parker Vegas? So my favorite part, we got to set up a podcast booth in the studio, and we got to meet some amazing people. Got some really good interviews that we've got coming your way. It was such a blur that now I'm like blanking on who all we had, but we've got some really good ones coming out over the next few weeks. So be sure to pay attention there. What else? It was in Vegas. Didn't gamble much, which I'm pretty happy about because I've been trying not to gamble as much when I go to Vegas. So yeah, it was also great. Like I said, I got to meet up with 3 of my partners or I guess 4 of my partners, but 3 different projects that I'm working on. So I got to brainstorm a lot about that. We'll kind of keep you guys posted on all the new stuff that's coming out here shortly. But like I said, PI Expert Secrets is going to be coming out March 1st. And be sure to get to Parker Vegas next year. I think it's like, I don't know, like I've always liked it. Like it was probably like the first big chiropractic seminar that I went to. So maybe it's just like nostalgic, but I feel like they do a really great job. Had really good speakers this year. Brought in some celebrity speakers as well, which I never really care that much about them, but the chiropractic speakers were awesome. Got to meet David Seaman, which is he was one of my mentors early on when it came to the nutrition stuff. So be sure to get there next year if you didn't already, and be looking out for all those new the podcast interviews. So we'll talk to you on the next one. Hope you guys have a good day.